Good to go? All right. Buenas noches, mi gente.
Buenas noches.
You ready for a good time tonight? All right. Thank you all so much for choosing to spend your Saturday night at church doing something fun, celebrating each other, celebrating the incredibly gifted and talented people that we have in this community. A huge thank you to everyone who's attending, and a huge thank you to everyone who has said yes to sharing their gifts. Now, for some folks, they may have missed being on the stage. Some folks do this all the time, and for others, it's an incredible stretch. Thank you all. Can we get... And there's a whole host of volunteers that have made tonight happen. Babette and Rex, who are in the kitchen, Celeste and Kathy, Mickey, Austin and Keith, Rev Dorian, Ron, Julia, Phil, Liz. Is Summer? Hey, Phil. Thank you all so much for making tonight possible. And if I missed anyone, raise your hand, because we need to thank you. Oh, yes, there is an extra special thank you for the woman who for more than a year has been wanting us to do this again. Please, Nancy, will you please rise so we can all thank you? You know, Nancy, you have been joyfully relentless in making sure that we finally got to do this, and you have made this happen at a time when a lot of people have lost hope. So, thank you for continuing to move the ball forward so that everyone gathered could express themselves and have a moment of collective communal joy. It's appreciated. And by now, you've had enough of me, so please welcome tonight's MC, Dr. Alan Schmidt.
Thank you, Reverend Katie. Good evening and welcome. I will be your Master of Ceremonies tonight. Starting off, please welcome Cece Russell Jane, who will share some Shakespeare with us. Let me set the scene. Before the tragic events unfold in Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, Lady Capulet and the nurse called Juliet to join them. They are minutes away. They are minutes away from guests arriving for Juliet's coming-of-age gala. With Juliet's 14th birthday only 2 weeks away, Lady Capulet wants to talk to her about the possibility of marriage. The desirable and handsome Paris is interested in taking her as his wife. Standing at this hopeful and joyous passage, the nurse is flooded with memory.
Even or odd of all the days of the year, come Lammas Eve at night shall she be 14. Susan and she, God rest all Christian souls, were of an age. Well, Susan is with God. She was too good for me. But as I said, on Lammas Eve at night shall she be 14. That shall she marry. I remember it well, for 'tis since the earthquake now 11 years, and she was weaned. I never should forget it of all the days of the year upon that day, for I had then laid wormwood to my dug. Sitting in the sun under the dove house wall, my lord and you were then at Mantua. Nay, I do bear a brain. But, as I said, when it did taste the wormwood on the nipple of my dug, pretty full to see it touchy and fall out with the dug. Shake, quoth the dove house, 'twas no need I trow to bid me trudge. And since that time, 'tis 11 years. For then she could stand alone. Nay, by the root she could have run and waddled all about, for e'en the day before she broke her brow. And then my husband, God be with his soul, he was a merry man, took up the child. Yea, quoth he, dost thou fall upon thy face? thou wilt fall backwards when thou hast more wit. Wilt thou not, Jewel? And by my holiday, the pretty wretch left crying and said, "Aye." To see now how a jest shall come about. "Wilt thou not, Jewel?" quoth he. And pretty wretch left crying and said, "Aye."
Here is our barbershop trio singing Nowhere Man. Please give a warm welcome to John Larimore, Rex Martin, and Ron Keeper.
He's a real nowhere man, sitting in his nowhere land, making all his nowhere plans for nobody. Doesn't have a point of view, knows not where he's going to. Isn't he a bit like you and me? Nowhere man, please listen. You don't know what you're missing. Nowhere man, the world is at your command. La, 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 la. He's as blind as he can be, just sees what he wants to see. Nowhere man, can you see me at all? Nowhere man, don't worry, take your time. Don't hurry, leave it all till somebody else lends you a hand. La, 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 la. Doesn't have a point of view, knows not where he's going to. Isn't he a bit like you and me? Nowhere man, please listen. You don't know what you're missing. Nowhere man, the world is at your command. La, 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 la. He's a real nowhere man, sitting in his nowhere land, making all his nowhere plans for nobody. Making all his nowhere plans for nobody. Making all his nowhere plans for nobody. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Here to warn you that things change as you get older is Nancy Rogers Bainey.
It's so good to see all of you here this evening. Thank you so much for coming out. First, I'd like to start out with a little sound check for the older people in the audience. Are your hearing aids adjusted okay? But I'd like to give the younger people here a heads up that things do change as you get older. One day you wake up and you go look in the mirror and you go, "Oh, that can't be right." And then you go to brush a hair off of your shoulder and realize it's attached to your chin. And I'm not even going to mention men and their ear hair. The thing you often notice is women with Kleenexes tucked up their sleeve or in every pocket. And there's really good reason for that, because as you get older, your mucous membranes thin and you start producing a lot more sinus drainage. They even have a medical term for it: geriatric rhinitis. Now, I've had people tell me I don't look my age, and I hated that when I was younger. Let me just answer a couple of questions that most people would like to ask but are too polite to ask. I'm 83 years old, and I weigh pounds. Sometimes not looking your age causes problems. I was in an airport recently, and they had 2 scanners. They had a scanner over here that they were directing people under 77 to, and one over here for people over 77. I think the one for over 77 was one that you didn't have to go. At any rate, I headed for the one over 77. And a man there was going, no, I'm 83. He said, no, you're not. I said, yeah, I was born in 1942. And of course, he wanted to know my secret. So I always credit genetics and lifestyle and my hairdresser. Though I have asked my hairdresser to come up with a plan for when this color doesn't match my face anymore. You know, wrinkles and all. Though I don't know why people are so worried about wrinkles. They don't hurt. I did get a surprise at the eye doctor the other day, though. She said I needed to go see a retina specialist. I have wrinkles on my retina. Now, there's a wrinkle I hadn't expected. I recently went shopping with a friend of mine that's older than I am and does look her age. And we ended up in an antique store, and they didn't want to let her leave. Now, as you know, most of you anyway, that I love wearing my high heels. I've worn them since I was 16 years old, all my professional life. I'm lucky enough to still be comfortable in them, and they make me taller. But I had to give up recently wearing them for a while because I needed my hip replaced. And, I suppose I could have kept wearing them, but I thought it'd look a little silly since I was using a cane. I have become clumsier in my older years, though. Half my exercise is picking up things off of the floor that I've dropped. Anybody ever dropped a cell phone in the toilet? You put it in a bag of rice. Anybody ever dropped a bag of rice in the toilet? I've started doing what's called Swedish death cleaning. Their word for it is destanding. And, that's when you declutter and downsize and sort through things that you don't need anymore and get them given away to the appropriate places. And so that your loved ones won't have such a hard time after you're gone. And so they won't spit on your grave. The hard part, of course, is figuring out what to get rid of. And of course, as you all know, Marie Kondo says, does it bring you joy? And then there's other articles I've read that say, well, if you haven't used it in a year or worn it in a year, get rid of it. That's not even practical. And then recently I heard of a third method. It's called the poop test. And the premise is that if something were to get soiled, would you bother to clean it up so that you could keep it? I think I'll stick with does it bring me joy. Now recently, in sorting through all of these things, I ran across my old diaries. From the first year, I'm reading the first year that Gary and I dated. Now mind you, our first date was to see South Pacific when it was a new movie. And telephones were still plugged into the wall. And if you were lucky, you had a phone jack in your room where you could move the phone for private conversations. That was a big deal when we finally got those. So phone calls were pretty important. And I usually ended my entry into the diary each day with Gary called, Gary called, Gary called. And then one that Dad forgot to pay the phone bill, Gary couldn't call. So I'm retired, obviously. I have young people say, oh, it must be so nice, I wish I could retire. I have to remind them of a couple of things, though. Number one, you're old. And number two, the paychecks stop. And then people who are retired tell me that they don't know how they ever had time to work. They're busier than they've ever been. Well, duh. Half your time is spent going to the doctor, filling your pill minder, doing your physical therapy exercises, and putting on all the lotions and potions you need to keep from drying up and blowing away. And then there's mail. Now we still get, USPS out in our mailboxes, and most of that goes into the recycle bin. But the emails, oh my goodness, so much time on emails. Delete, 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 unsubscribe, spam. Oh, wait a minute, that one's important. I better put a star there so I remember to read it. Then Cornell University once reported the death of one of its alumni. And it turns out he wasn't dead. He just reported his own death, so they quit sending him letters asking for money. I ran across a questionnaire recently on life expectancy. There's a man who's studying longevity, a doctor. It's a very good study, and it was a very good questionnaire. It had 40 questions, and one was your medical history. I had to look up my cholesterol and all that stuff, and then your lifestyle and your family history. So I filled out all 40 questions, and I hit submit, and it popped up 106. So I immediately called my daughters and gave them the bad news. Though I did have a grandmother who lived to almost 100. She still lived alone, sharp. Her mind was sharp. She couldn't hear very well or see very well, and walked a little like Tim Conway's character, shuffling along. But 64 days short of her birthday, she leaned over to unplug a lamp and hit her head on the corner of the table. I learned so much from her. I loved her sayings. All the grandmothers had all these sayings. The one I liked best was that worry is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't get you anywhere. But she was a worrier. I talked to her that morning, and she was worried. They wanted to give her a birthday party at church, and she was worried that by the time she got ready to go, she'd be too tired to go. I'm beginning to understand that. Now, she lived from 1891 to 1991. This was horse and wagon and trains to a man on the moon. And I thought, that's just amazing. And then it dawned on me. I've lived from manual typewriters and carbon paper to carrying around a computer in my pocket and on my wrist. I really worry about my great-grandchildren and what they might have to deal with. Perhaps they'll have to learn how to break up with their clone. The technology, though, it's so hard to keep up with. And now we've got AI and ChatGPT and Siri and Alexa and Google and I don't know. The other day I asked Siri what she thought my life expectancy would be, and she changed the subject. And then one day I asked my granddaughter to hand me the phone book. And she laughed at me. And she called me a dinosaur. And she handed me her iPhone. So now, the spider's dead. The iPhone's broken. And my granddaughter isn't speaking to me. But there's a good way to confuse children these days, if you'd like to play a prank on them. You put them in a room with a rotary phone, an analog clock, and a TV with no remote. And then you write out the instructions in cursive. Now, most of you may not remember who Andy Rooney was. I see a few heads nodding. Yeah, some of you do. Andy once said that it's paradoxical that the idea of living a long time appeals to everyone, but the idea of getting old appeals to no one. But I say, if you're lucky enough to get old, reinvent yourself and relish it.
And now, I would like to share my space discoveries with you. I may be on a path to a Nobel Prize in Physics with my space discoveries. My path began with being intrigued with the possibility of extraterrestrial life, life outside our planet. Years ago in the movie E.T., the extraterrestrial got stranded on Earth and was trying to communicate with his home planet. The Webb Space Telescope is now out in space in the middle of nowhere between the sun, moon, and Earth. It can observe exoplanets, planets orbiting stars outside our solar system, and even analyze the planet's atmosphere. I looked in the Webb data for exoplanets with Freon in the planet's atmosphere that intelligent life would make, but not as intelligent as us, because we've figured out that Freon depletes the ozone layer, letting in too much ultraviolet. I found planet Serendipity with Freon in its atmosphere orbiting the star Alpha Centauri. The Webb telescope detects infrared, heat energy. I noticed strange patterns in the infrared data from planet Serendipity. I sent the infrared data through the computer artificial intelligence program ChatGPT and asked it what the data meant. The data corresponded to Morse code smoke signals. The message being sent from planet Serendipity was, "E.T. phone home." The extraterrestrials returned our E.T. movie signal from years ago. I called President Trump. We have extraterrestrial life, space aliens. Where? Around Alpha Centauri. Which state is that in? No, it's in outer space. Can I hit them with a nuclear missile? I have the button right here. No, they're too far away, and they may be friendly and have precious metals. Okay, good to know. Keep me informed. I'll add you to my morning briefings. In the Webb data, I saw an enormous asteroid on a collision path with Earth. I coordinated a missile effort to nudge the asteroid away from Earth. First, an Israeli missile nudged it a little. A Chinese missile nudged it away some more. But Elon Musk's SpaceX missile nudge was just right. the asteroid made a spectacular fireball as it passed above Earth in the night sky. In astronomy, there is dark matter that holds the galaxies together, cannot be seen, and is not understood. Albert Einstein notes mass and energy can transform under the right conditions. I discovered as light waves from stars travel across billions of miles, once in a while their light wave energy peaks coincide and transform into mass, which can't be seen by a telescope and explains dark matter. Being the discoverer of the process, I named the dark matter mass Schmidium. You may not have heard anything about my discoveries, but it's out for peer review in the appropriate scientific journals. I suspect I will be nominated for a Nobel Prize in Physics. If that happens, remember, you heard it here first. If Bud Abbott and Lou Costello were alive today, their infamous sketch, Who's on First, might sound something like this.
Super Duper Computer Store. How may I help you?
Yes, I'm setting up an office in my den, and I'm thinking about buying a computer.
Mac?
No, my name's Lou.
Your computer.
I don't own a computer. I want to buy one.
Mac?
I told you my name's Lou.
What about Windows?
Why? Will it get stuffy in here?
Do you want a computer with Windows?
I don't know. What will I see when I look at the windows?
Wallpaper?
Never mind the windows. I need a computer and software.
Software for Windows?
No, on the computer. I need something I can use to write proposals, track expenses, and run my business. What do you have?
Office.
Yeah, for my office. Can you recommend anything?
Well, I just did.
You just did what?
Recommended something.
You recommended something?
Yes.
For my office.
Yes.
Okay, what did you recommend for my office?
Office.
Yes, for my office.
I recommend Office with Windows.
I already have an office with Windows. Okay, let's just say I'm sitting at my computer and I want to type a proposal. What do I need?
Word.
Word? What word?
Word in Office.
The only word in office is office. Ugh!
The word in Office for Windows.
Which word in office for Windows?
The word you get when you click the blue W.
Why, I'm gonna click your blue W if you don't start with some straight answers. What about financial bookkeeping? You have anything I can track my money with?
Sure. Money.
That's right. What do you have?
Money.
I need money to track my money.
It comes bundled with the computer.
What's bundled with my computer?
Money.
Money comes with my computer.
That's right.
Money does come bundled with my computer.
Yes. No extra charge.
I get a bundle of money with my computer? Okay, how much?
1 copy.
Isn't it illegal to copy money?
No, Microsoft gave us a license to copy money.
They can give you a license to copy money?
Why not? They own it. Ba-dum-bum. Psst. few days later, Super Duper Computer Store, how can I help you?
Yes. How do I turn my computer off?
Click on Start.
Don't start with me again.
Click on Start. It's truly the way it is. Give it up for Marianne Matthews and Jenny You May Be, here to sing Red as the Rose and Hard Times Come Again No More.
They're all over here. Oh. Jerry's got the green.
Hello there. We are the Majors. It's Marianne, Jenny, Jerry, Ron. Get it? So we are going to first sing a song called "Red Is the Rose." It's an Irish tune, and these songs have been arranged by a good friend of mine from Evansville named Daniel Craig. Come over the hills, my bonny Irish lass. Come over the hills to your darling. You choose the rose, love, and I'll make the vow. And I'll be your true love forever.
Red is the rose that from yonder garden grows. Fair is the lily of the valley. Clear is the water that flows from the Boyne. My love is fairer than any. 'Twas down by Killarney's preen wood that we strayed, and the moon and the stars, they were shining. The moon shone its rays on her locks of golden hair. She swore she'd be my love forever. Red is the rose that from yonder garden grows. Fair is the lily of the valley. Clear is the water that flows from the Boyne. My love is rarer than any. 'Tis not for the parting of my sister Kate, and it's not for the grief of my mother, all for the loss of my bonny Irish lass, that my heart is breaking forever. Red is the rose that from yonder garden grows, fair is the lily of the valley, clear is the water that flows from the Boyne. My love is fairer than any. Clear is the water that flows from the Boyne. My love is fairer than any.
Thank you. And this one, Hard Times, is a song that was written by Stephen Foster way back in about the 1850s when there were a lot of hard times. And it seems like not much has changed since then. Oh, we need a note. Let us pause in life's pleasures and count its many tears, while we all sup sorrow with the poor. There's a song that will linger forever in our ears. Oh, hard times come again no more.
To the song, the sigh of the weary. Hard times, come again no more. Many days have lingered around my cabin door. Oh, hard times, come again no more. While we seek mirth and beauty and music light and gay, there are fire forms fainting at the door. Though their voices are silent, their pleading looks will say, oh, hard times, come again no more. 'Tis the song, the sigh of the weary. Hard times, come again no more. Many days you have lingered around my cabin door. Oh, hard times, come again no more. 'Tis a sigh that is wafted across the troubled wave. 'Tis a wail that is far upon the north. 'Tis a dirge that is murmured around the lowly grave. Oh, hard times, come again no more. 'Tis the song, the sigh of the weary. come again no more. Many days you have lingered around my cabin door. Oh, hard times, come again no more. Oh, hard times, come again no more.
We have a special treat for you. Here are Reverend Katie and some of our board members.
Yeah. It's your call. Yeah. You're the boss. Yeah.
Let's bring this meeting to order. Can everybody hear me on the board? We have a full agenda as usual, and I'd like to finish it for once on time.
Of course. And let's remember, completion is a journey, not a destination.
Yes, okay. First item, consent agenda. Is there anything that needs to be pulled out of the consent agenda and discussed independently?
Oh, but before we begin, let's not forget about the chalice lighting and the check-in. Who's on deck for chalice lighting?
Well, technically, we have already begun. But yes, of course, let's not forget our chalice lighting. That's very important. The agenda indicates that it's DBM's month to do the chalice lighting. Tom.
Yeah, I've got it right here. Just give me a second. Siri, give me a profound poem by a UU author about responsibility to a larger community. Can someone go ahead? Can someone go ahead then and with the chalice lighting? The Butterfly Effect by Reverend Julian Jamaica Soto. I wish the knowledge were easier to come by, that individualism is just a scam. You are always the butterfly wings. You are always the storm. You must choose to scream the truth until every leaf and stone
That is so profound. Thank you for that. What a wonderful way to call us each to center ourselves in the light of truth, the warmth of community,
and the hope that our secretary took legible minutes.
I'm sure that the minutes are fine.
What is fine, really?
It means we can approve the minutes.
can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move that we honor the minutes not just as a record of what happened, but as a living document reflecting who we were in that moment.
What the heck is that? What kind of a motion is that?
It's one I'll take. Do we have a second?
I second the inherent worth and dignity of the minutes.
Fine, fine, fine.
This is not how seconds work. Anyway, all in favor of approving?
Actually, I couldn't find the minutes. Were they in the email?
No, they're in the shared Google Drive.
In this month's or last month's?
Both.
I don't know how to get into those folders.
Same.
I'd like us to take a moment to consider whose voices might be missing from the minutes.
I'm sure everyone who spoke is noted in the minutes, Jen.
And those who didn't speak?
They didn't speak.
And yet, they were present.
Okay, we are tabling the existential completeness of the minutes. Moving on.
So does that mean next month we'll approve January, February, March, April, and May's minutes in the consent agenda?
Dear Lord, I hope so. Next item, budget review.
Ah, yes, our shared values expressed numerically.
Our expenses expressed numerically.
Same thing, really.
Tell me, what story is this spreadsheet trying to tell us?
That we are $3,000 over on coffee expenses.
This feels connected to the oat milk incident.
Oh, are we going to go over that again?
There was real grief in that room.
It was just one coffee hour.
Coffee hour is where we live our theology.
We ran out of oat milk. It's not that deep.
Yes, but people felt unseen.
Look, we formed a subcommittee to avoid this going forward. Tom, would you like to go ahead and share your report form? What are we calling the subcommittee? A creamer?
Yeah, Creamer, that's right. The Committee for Responsiveness, Equity, and Access to Milk Alternatives and Ethical Refreshments. Yeah, so it turns out that almond milk is controversial.
As are most things.
Nope. Let's focus. Let's go back to the budget. I move that we reduce coffee expenditures by...
I'm noticing some urgency. What's coming up for you?
What's coming up for me is that we're 20 minutes in and we haven't approved anything.
That sounds frustrating.
Yes, it is frustrating.
Can you say more about that?
I just want one decision. One clear, properly seconded, voted on decision.
I hear a longing for clarity, for structure, for a sense that our shared life can be held in something predictable.
Yes.
That's very human.
Okay. New strategy. I move that we adjourn in 10 minutes, having completed at least one agenda item.
I'm curious, what would it mean to complete something?
No. Don't start with...
Second.
You seconded it?
I do. I believe in your vision.
All in favor?
Can we just check in about how everyone feels about adjourning?
You're never leaving. We are never leaving, are we?
We're exactly where we need to be.
please welcome Rex Martin singing Days at St. Mary.
Recall those days at St. Mary, late in March when the cold winds blow. High in the sky, 3 kites in a flurry, trees below stone gray and bare. Off we go next door to St. Mary, Easter Sunday so long ago. Down the hill we scampered joyfully, golden egg was hidden there. Take me back, take me back. I wanna go home to see your face again. Take me back. I wanna go home. I long to see her ponytail jeans, saddle shoes, and dear Josephine. We played the game of hearts at St. Mary. Uncle John's sly wink and grin. So suddenly, we somehow win. Take me back, take me back. I wanna go home to see your face again. Take me back, I wanna go home. I long to see her ponytail jeans, saddle shoes, and dear Josephine. Marcellus sails green seas at St. Mary. The old bark's plank is a pirate's dream. Circling sharks, they show no mercy. A boy is a man when he learns to dream.
now with a story about Dame Ragnell is Liza Hyatt.
This is an old story I'd like to share with you. The message in it got lost almost from the get-go, and it's a very important message that we still need to this day. It goes back to Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, one of the earliest versions, but I guess it was probably even older than that, so we could say it's at least 1,000 years old. And I've lived with it my whole life. And so I have a close friendship with Dame Ragnell herself. She shows up for me oftentimes when I'm hiking in the woods. And I'm gonna share some of the deeper wisdom that got lost even from the very beginning that she's shared with me. So, the story begins with the Knights of the Round Table. They were gathered all around in the throne room with King Arthur at the end of the year to celebrate all of their heroic deeds and great feats. They were boasting and bragging, as knights tend to do, when the doors to the throne room flew open and into the room rode a man in green armor on a green horse. Everything about the horse, the mane, the tail, the hooves, everything, all green. The armor was completely green. And when the Green Knight took his helmet off, his hair was green, his beard was green, his eyes were green, his teeth were green, even his tongue, when he licked his lips, was green. Now the Green Knight climbed off of his horse and he strode through the room and he said, "I have a challenge for the bravest knight among you. Whoever thinks that they are such knight, chop off my head tonight, as long as you allow me in a year from now to do the same to you." Now, Sir Gawain jumped right up. He liked to think that he was the bravest knight among all of the knights. He said, "I'll take that challenge." And so the Green Knight lowered his neck for Sir Gawain. Gawain drew his sword, and with one swift slice, the head came off. The Green Knight's head rolled across the floor, green blood spewing out from it. And then the body of the Green Knight stood up, walked over to his head, picked it up, and put it right back on his neck where it sealed shut without a scar. That was when Gawain started to think that maybe somebody who is completely green might have some of the old magic in them. It was too late, though. He'd already taken the challenge. And he realized that his life in a year would have to be placed before the Green Knight's sword. But the Green Knight saw the fear dawning on Sir Gawain's face, and he said, "I will give you a chance to save your life. If you can bring me the answer to my riddle, your life will be spared." And the riddle he gave Sir Gawain was, "What do women want most?" Now there's audience participation in this story. So I'm going to do what Sir Gawain did. He spent the whole year going around the Kingdom of England asking every woman he met, young, old, rich, poor, everyone, what they felt like women wanted most. So please answer, whoever feels so inspired. What do you think women want most? Anybody?
Independence.
Independence.
A nap.
A nap. To be heard, yes. Any other answers? To have fun, yes. What else? Children. Love. Respect. Yeah. He got a good night's sleep. Yes. Yes. He got all those answers and more. He got so many answers that He just decided that women didn't know what they wanted and that they were just fickle. Now here's where one of Dame Ragnell's wisdom comes to play. The original riddle was, what do women need most? But you know how that goes. Our needs get turned into wants so they can be trivialized. So, if Gawain had actually been listening, he probably could have come up with the answer to the riddle, but he couldn't make sense of it. So a year had gone by, he had 100 million answers, but he couldn't understand the answer. So he had to head off into the green wood where the Green Knight was waiting for him. And his heart was sinking lower and lower and lower into his gut. Just then, as he was getting into the darkest part of the forest, out onto the path stepped the most hideous, vile, stinky old hag he had ever seen in his life. She had like moss in her hair and things crawling in it and fungusy fingernails that were green and pus oozing out of her. She was awful. And she said, I am Dame Ragnell, and you haven't asked me the answer to the riddle, but I know what it is. I will tell you what the answer is if you promise to give me one thing I ask for in return. Now, Gawain saw this vile hag in front of him, and he thought, what could she want? Some new clothes? A bath? Maybe a nice house to live in? Surely he could give her whatever she asked for. And if it saved his life, it would be worth it. So he said, all right, I will give you what you ask if you give me the right answer. She said, lean down so that I can whisper it into your ear. And so Gawain leaned down from his saddle. He had to hold his breath, his breath, because her breath was, teeth were rotten. She whispered into his ear, and when he heard what she said, he knew right away it was the answer. And he spurred his horse on as fast as he could go until he saw the Green Knight standing before his castle with his sword already raised. Gawain called out what Dame Ragnell had told him women want most, and the Green Knight threw his sword into the dust and said, oh, you must have met my sister. Well, his life was spared, so Gawain charged right back through the forest, and there waiting for him on the path was Dame Ragnell. And he said, thank you, Dame Ragnell, you saved my life. What is it I can give you in return? And she said, I would like you to make me your wife. Marry me. Oh, he had not expected that. So he said, oh, come on, our age difference, and I'll be gone a lot, and I can't possibly make you happy. Let me give you anything but that. But he couldn't talk her out of it. And he was a knight of the Round Table, so he was sworn to keep the oaths that he had given. So, much to his regret, he had to help Dame Ragnell up onto the horse that he was riding, and together they went to Camelot. And that very evening, even though the other knights were laughing at him, he married Dame Ragnell. They had the wedding. He told Dame Ragnell to go up and freshen up in the bridal chamber. And then he spent as long as he could. But finally, the other knights pushed him up the stairs to consummate his wedding vows. There in front of the door to their chamber stood the most glamorously beautiful woman he had ever seen in his life. And she said, Sir Gawain, because you married me, the spell that my horrible brother, that Green Knight, cast me under is broken halfway. Now I can be glamorous like you see me, by day, or by night? But I have to be that hideous old hag the rest of the time. What would you choose, Gawain? That was a hard one. Gawain thought long and hard. So this is the second question I will pose to you. What would you choose if you were him? The night? Why? Why choose the night? Beautiful by night because the other people wouldn't see her? And then he could have her all to himself? Anybody want the day, beautiful by day? Anybody vote for that? Why? They could be out and about, right? Yeah. He could show her off. Ha! I didn't marry this ugly hag. Look at you guys. I got the most beautiful woman in the kingdom. He went back and forth. Then he remembered the answer to the riddle. And he said, Dame Ragnell, it's you who have to live with what is chosen here. So really, it should be your choice. And before him, the glamour fell away. Now, instead of a hag or a magically beautiful woman, there stood a real woman in front of him. She seemed smart. She seemed funny. She seemed like a person. And she said, now the spell is broken completely because you gave me what women need most, our sovereignty, the right to decide the fate of our own lives and our own bodies. Wouldn't it be nice if we remembered that? Yeah, it would. Well, I had a long conversation about this with Dame Ragnell, and I said, do you think that maybe you and the Green Knight could come back and do that again? Maybe show up at a cabinet meeting at the White House? And she said, hell no, absolutely not. It didn't work the first time. She taught me all about how they had showed up at that specific time when the old ways were being replaced by the empire, when the empire thought that men and their wisdom was all that was needed. But sovereignty used to mean, back in the old way, sovereignty meant leaders were granted their right to rule when they protected the sacred feminine, the earth, and the life givers on it. If they didn't do that, they had no right to lead. Now, I can tell you more of what Dame Ragnell told me in my conversation, but she said there was only one thing that could be done instead of them coming back and doing that same old thing again. And I want to see if you guys can think what that might have been. What's the one thing that we need to do instead of playing a trick on the White House? What? Take sovereignty ourselves, exactly. Live it every moment and treat every woman as one with sovereignty and treat the earth as sovereign. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I love that story.
Here to entertain you tonight is Austin Mitchell with some guitar music.
Hello, can you hear me? Hi folks, I'm gonna play some songs for you. There's some songs that I like. Hopefully there's songs that you like. There might be some songs you know. So if you feel like singing along, go ahead and do it. blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies crying. I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. This one you might know, because we sing it sometimes on Sundays. Somos el barco, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, you sail in me. The stream sings it to the river sings it to the sea sings it to the boat that carries you and me. The boat that we are sailing on was built by many hands. The sea that we are sailing on touches many sands. Somos el barco, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, you sail in me. The voyage has been long and hard, and yet we're sailing still, with the song to keep us together if we only will. So with our hopes we raise the sail to face the winds once more, and with our hearts we chart the waters never sailed before. Somos el barco, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, you sail in me. All right, I've got one more. I learned this one because my brother asked me to play it at his wedding last week. He specifically wanted to have a sing-along, so especially if you know the parts to sing along to this, let's do it. It's Sweet Caroline. Where it began, I can't begin to know when, but then I know it's growing strong. in the spring, and spring became a summer. Who'd have believed you'd come along? Hands, touching hands, reaching out, touching me, touching you. Oh, sweet Caroline, ba ba ba, good time never seemed so good. Oh, I've been inclined, ba ba ba, to believe they never would. But now I look at the night, and it don't seem so lonely. We fill it up with only two. I see you clapping. And when I hurting runs off my shoulder. How can I hurt when holding you? Warm, touching warm, reaching out, touching me, touching you. Oh, sweet Caroline, ba ba ba, good times never seem so good. Oh, I've been inclined, ba ba ba, to believe they never would. Oh no, no, whoa. Thank you, folks.
To cap off the evening, please welcome Liz Elsmore at the piano playing Something Doing. Let's have a final applause for the All Souls Unitarian Church Variety Show.